I don't want to set the world on fire. I just want to start a flame in your heart. In my heart I have but one desire, and that one is you. No other will do.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back once again with the BOOM. Of course, we are talking about AEW Blood and Guts tonight. But before we get into that, of course, our introduction. Of course, I am your host of the most, as always, Cam G. The man to the right of me, that is the man known as Phil Conn. Of course, on the bottom of your screen, that is the man, my co-host and producer at this time, that is Metalcore Mike. Gentlemen, we are joined here once again to talk about AEW Dynamite. But before we do that, how is your Wednesday evening going?
It's supposed to snow tonight, and I don't like it. I don't like it one bit. Like, why can't we why can't we ease into seasons anymore? Why do we have to have this bullshit to where it goes from like 90 degrees one day, and then the next day it just drops right down to 10 degrees and fucking snowing? Like, why does that have to happen? Why can't we just, Why can't we just, ease into things like we used to? I remember when I was a kid back in the day, about 70 years ago, seasons used to be eased. You go from 90 degrees. Ago. All right, I'm over exaggerating. 39 years ago. Okay. Well, 35 years ago is when my memory really started, remembering things. But anyways, it's you go from 90 degrees, then you get into September and it goes down to like 80, 70, 75, 65. And then you get to October and it goes from 60 down to 55, 50. And then you get to November and it's in the 40s. You don't see snow until like December, January. In my whole life, I've only ever seen one, I've only ever seen it snow on Christmas one time in my 39 years of existence. That's it. One time. But now, no. It has to be 90 degrees one day and 10 degrees the next day with snow. I'm tired of this. Like, I'm tired of just jumping in, ease into it. I'm getting old. Like, my body doesn't function the way it used to.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of how it is here, but it's kind of always been like that here. So
I need to open my windows.
I'm kind of used to it, I guess. So
and then my mom has the temperature in the house up to like 90 degrees, and I'm bitching that it's not 90 outside, but it's a different type of heat in the house because everything's so condensed. And yeah, it's so freaking hot in here. So if I start sweating buckets, like if you start snap a finger or something, if I look like I'm ready to pass out. Okay. Just saying.
Let's hope it doesn't get to that.
Yeah. That's why I'm going to go open my window right now so I have some circulation. So
there you go. Okay. Man, normal Wednesday for me. It is really freaking cold outside. It's brutal out there, but we're just here. We're gonna be talking some AEW, and yeah, man, it's kind of just a normal day for me. So I just go through the motions. I've been going through the motions a lot lately, and it's kind of just like numb to a point where I come home, I watch wrestling, I almost do the exact same day over again, and I need some sort of change in my routine in order to kind of rejuvenate myself once again. But until that happens, man, I kind of just got to go through the motions.
Go for a run.
In this cold weather, the weather that you just mentioned.
I mean, I don't know how you handle the cold. Go for a run.
It's terrible over here, man.
Okay, Oh, that's right. You're up in the Massachusetts area, so
Yeah, I'm in
it's
CT.
a little bad up there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Get a fucking treadmill.
Yeah, I mean, there's got to be some sort of change in my routine, but other than that, it's a good day for me. We're gonna talk some wrestling.
You know what used to help me when I used I'm always in a rut, but you know what helped me a lot? Coloring books.
My grandmother does that a lot, actually.
No bullshit. I'm not joking with you. I'm not trying to be funny.
Yeah.
I have some Pokemon coloring books on my one shelf, just in case I ever get into that point and I need to kind of send my brain to another place for a little bit. Just coloring books.
Just relax.
I'm telling you, yeah. Kind of shut the brain off and just go pick up yourself a 16-pack of crayons and off you go. It's cheap and it'll help. I'm telling you. Or go to a store, $2.
I have so many of those. I do. So yeah, it definitely helps. But
Blood and Guts tonight, gentlemen. 3 matches. 3. Yep. I don't remember the last time I seen a wrestling show with 3 matches. I don't remember that. I don't remember the last time I seen a wrestling show with just 3 matches. Past Blood and Guts have had more than just 3 matches on it. I remember them having 4 or 5 matches in between the Blood and before the Blood and Guts. I guess it's because they had 2 this year.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
That's the case. I think I just answered my own fucking question.
Yeah.
Okay.
But gentlemen, we will get into AEW Blood and Guts. There wasn't really much of an open tonight. I mean, we just kind of opened and got right down to business. So we open, and then we get right into our opening match, which starts off with the first ever women's Blood and Guts. And this is not instead of a traditional 5-on-5, this was a 6-on-6. So they added in each a member for each team. So we start off with because Team Monet versus Team Statlander. We start off with Sky Blue and Willow Nightingale. We see trash can lids. We see barbed kendo sticks. The usual violence you would see in a Blood and Guts match. To follow that would be Julia Hart, Harley Cameron, Tekla, Jamie Hayter, Megan Bayne, Chris Statlander, and then Monet, and then Mina Shirakawa, Marina Shafir, and Toni Storm was the final member or participant of this particular match. And before the match actually started, I honestly enjoyed this match. Really, I did. For the first ever women's Blood and Guts match, I think they did their thing. Very, very gory. Again, to be expected. Sky Blue at one point just looked unrecognizable because she was just it was like a faucet coming out of her head. So that was just, but like I said, it's very typical what you would see in a Blood and Guts match. Beautiful train wreck, I would say. So honestly, I have no problems with this match at all. I love the ending too, and I can't, put enough emphasis on that. I love the ending too, just with Mina Shirakawa, basically just being, absolutely brutalized by Megan Bayne and Marina Shafir. And just forcing Toni Storm to watch. Now, I'm hoping that they follow up with that. Again, that hope is really just a hope because I don't think they will. But I just feel like there's something to that ending. Yes. They can carry this a little bit further. With the. What do they call themselves? Something triangle. I forget what they're calling themselves. Triangle of Madness or whatever.
Triangle of Madness.
Carry that. Yeah. They can carry that with them and Mina and Tony and take that somewhere and carry this storyline a little bit further. Now, depending on who wins this whole women's tag team title tournament, they could even involve the women's tag team titles. That could be the first real big feud for the women's tag team titles. I don't know, but I don't think they're going to pick this up. Maybe they carry this into Full Gear and we have a tag match with some of these participants, Mina and Tony being the focus, facing either 2 of these members of the opposing team. So we'll definitely have to see. But the ending was just, picture perfect. If you're going to have a stipulation such as surrender, that's the best way I would say utilize the whole surrender stipulation to end the match. So I'm gonna get you guys' thoughts on the women's Blood and Guts match. Mike, I'm gonna start with you.
So, Cam, I, as of late, came up with this saying for when it comes to being a fan of professional wrestling. You said that you have hopes of feuds coming out of this match between some of these women. I have this saying that I came up with a couple days ago, and it goes, hopes and dreams can turn into anger and screams, because you hope and dream that something happens in pro wrestling and it turns into anger because they don't do it. And then you start fucking screaming at your TV because of the bullshit that they sometimes give us. So
Pretty accurate.
hopes and
Actually
dreams,
accurate as hell.
hopes and dreams turn into anger and screams. And I came up with this saying because I came across a social media post of a content creator that does wrestling content. And she is currently doing a crash out count. She's counting the days of how many times, she's trying to go so many days without crashing out. And she kind of reset her button on, I believe, Friday night during SmackDown. But anyways, this was a good match. For the very first women's Blood and Guts match, this was a good match. I didn't expect them to go as far as they went, as far as the bloodiness, the gore, the over-the-top stuff. But then again, it's AEW. They're going to sometimes give us stuff like that, and it's either going to be good or it's going to be bad. They did a great job with this. Now, me and you talked about this off air, about the whole 6-on-6 thing, and I said, with it being the first ever women's Blood and Guts, it makes sense. But at the same time, it is a little overkill because of it being 6 women. But I think they did this right, even with the ending. Like you said, it's the surrender opposed to having like a tap out finish or a pinfall finish. It was just a straight up like, I surrender. That's it. Like, we're done. So they did a very well done job with that ending. One thing that I highly did not like about this match, and this is something I've thought of over the years of MMA fighters coming into pro wrestling. We've had a lot of MMA fighters come into pro wrestling, and some of them have had success. Some of them had to have failure. Ronda Rousey came in and she had the immediate success with her WrestleMania debut, and then she went off running and started doing good things at the top end of her career in WWE, and then we all know what happened in the back end. With Marina Shafir, the one thing that pissed me off with her in this match was the fact of the no sells. Like, I get it. She's a cage fighter. She did some fighting with MMA. But to sit there and no sell punches just kind of just pissed me off, because if she was in the octagon, if she was across from another woman in a fight that she's used to being in, she wouldn't be standing there just eating punches the way she was tonight.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that she would, that the punches wouldn't be like they are in pro wrestling. It would definitely be real punches, but she'd be taking those and reacting to them. In a wrestling match, we all know how professional wrestling is. And for those who aren't, very prone up to the business, young kids that still think that everything they see on TV is real, us grown adults know that it's predetermined, and we know that sometimes, punches are pulled off. That's just the part that pissed me off. If you were in the octagon, if you were in a cage and you're getting punched by another woman, you're going to react to them, whether it's hurting you or not. The no reaction, no sell thing completely pissed me off. And I was literally, and again, hopes and dreams turn into anger and screams. I was literally screaming at my TV. I was like, why are you not fucking selling this right now? And it pissed me off. But overall, great job by these women. Great Blood and Guts match. And I'm kind of looking forward to the next Women's Blood and Guts next year. I am. They set me up for success with them doing this. And I would hope that they put the women in the main event next year opposed to the opening match.
Oh my God, yes.
Yeah. I think the thing that kind of irritated me a little bit about Shafir was the fact that, like, her first thing she does when she gets in the ring is she just keeps throwing Jamie Hayter around.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, are you trying to like tear the woman's arm out of socket? Like, you
does
keep doing this.
throws,
It's like, okay, like, I get that. Like, again, the MMA background and everything like that, but it's
Right,
like after a while, it's like, okay, you're just spamming the same move. And I'm like, I mean, obviously this woman has a history of injuries as it is.
Yeah.
You're to freaking tear her freaking arm out of socket. So that kind of irritated me a little bit.
And the thing is with Marina, it just goes down to the lack of experience that she has in the ring.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't see her in the ring that often. And, with everything, when it comes down to it, you got the limited moveset with the judo throws, and that just she goes to the MMA stuff because that is exactly what she knows. And then not only that, but the no selling of everything too. I mean, you get what you get with Marina Shafir, and it just goes with the experience factor of all of that. Now, in terms of everybody else, I can't say enough good things about this thing. This was awesome for me. I enjoyed myself watching this women's blood and guts match. I understand you guys when it comes down to the 6-on-6 and how you think it might be a little bit of an overkill with the added member of the team. But honestly, I think that kind of added to things only because when it comes down to it, that just kind of made things a little bit more different for the women than it normally is with the men.
There was depth.
Yeah. And there's obviously enough women's enough depth in the women's division. Enough depth in the women's division in order to make it a 6-on-6. So really good stuff. Sky Blue to me, MVP of this entire thing. She
Agreed.
looked absolutely
I would agree with
incredible in this thing. And she's an absolute beast. The visual of just a crimson mask on her face, you can just know that they put her in the first 2 spots for a reason. Yes. And they literally just let her go out there and shine tonight. So great job with Sky Blue there. And in terms of everything else, with the ending, it was perfect. I loved it all, mainly because of it going on into the women's tag team title tournament. Cam, here's the thing with me. I expect those 2 teams in Tony and Mina and Bane and I think it's Shafir now and not Penelope because of her injury to be in the semifinals. I expect those 2 teams to win their matches in the first round, go to the semifinal and meet in the semifinal because you don't book an ending like that without having a meaningful match for possibly a shot at the women's tag team titles down the line. So
I wouldn't mind it.
So you got to put those 2 into semifinals and get one of those 2 in the finals. Possibly you can do Tony and Mina even with all the brutality tonight.
I do want to say one more thing before we move on. And you guys are probably going to be super freaking shocked of me saying this, but the way that they overtook the way they had Marina overtake Chris Statlander. Chris Statlander is the women's world champion.
Yeah.
We don't see Marina Shafir in the ring at all. Why the hell is Marina Shafir, out of all people, all women, getting the upper hand on the women's world champion? You just literally made the women's world champion. And everybody's going to have their own opinion on this, whether she looked weak or not. In my eyes, that made her look weak because it was somebody that doesn't have a lot of experience in the ring overtaking her just to get to a spot for a bed of nails. I get you didn't want to pull the bed of nails into the ring because you have 12 women in there and anything can happen at any moment. Bad stuff could have happened if that bed of nails ended up in the ring. You want to keep it outside of the ring. I get that. But for Marina Shafir to have that spot of just completely annihilating Chris Statlander screams, making Chris Statlander look slightly weak. I think Chris Statlander, the role should have been flipped. I think Chris Statlander should have had the upper hand on that, and it should have been Marina Shafir ending up on that bed of nails opposed to Chris Statlander.
Be careful what you bring to the ring because it might just be used against you. I can see that, but man,
I don't know if I necessarily agree with that part of it,
and that's fine
because it's just a shock value move.
I get it.
It would have made Chris look weak had she been the one, had Marina been the one to submit Chris to end this whole match. That I'd have been like, I don't know about that. Think about it. Like when Monet came in there, she got the best of most of Chris Statlander during the course of that match. Like they had a lot of interaction. I mean, you think about it. Even during the course of this match, Monet was even holding up the women's title. Like I don't know. Like so, I wouldn't necessarily say it made her look weak. If anything, it's I don't know. It's kind of it makes Marina look a little bit strong because it's like, hey, look, I've put the women's world champion through this said thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
but I feel like if she had gone over in this match and she'd have been the one to make her surrender, submit, whatever to end this match, then I'd have been like, okay, that doesn't make a lot of sense.
That's the thing, though. Is it's just pretty much the spot that they got to with the bed of nails. It's a 50-50 thing. It's either you're going to look at it as they made Chris look weak, or they made Marina look strong. It's going to be a 50-50 deal. If it was Mercedes Moné doing it, I would have accepted it maybe a little more as a fan, because Mercedes has experience. Mercedes having the upper hand on Chris Statlander, especially leading into their match coming up at Full Gear next weekend, it gives me a little more of like okay, I can accept this because of Mercedes having the experience next, opposed to the inexperience that Marina Shafir has. And I understand you wanted to try and get to that specific spot. Well, then do something more to lead up to that spot. Don't just like forcefully put yourself into the position to get to that spot just to put her on the bed of nails. Like,
yeah, it didn't immediately happen too.
Yeah,
they didn't build.
It seemed like it was a little bit of a force to get to that spot. And I'm not trying I'm not trying to bring this moment up to overstep anything that happened in the match, because this was a great match. It was. I'm not trying to bring up something that I felt was negative to overtake all the positives that happened in this match. I'm just pointing out the thing of Marina Shafir, who doesn't have a lot of the experience. You pushed her to put her in a spot to overtake the women's world champion. I think, if anything, why not put somebody else in the spot of Chris Statlander, somebody else from the team, opposed to Chris Statlander. You know what I mean? And I think that would have, yes, it's making Marina look strong by overtaking Chris Statlander, but you want to build her up before you put her in a complete position of strength. Have her do it to somebody from the other team and build her up.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
While we're on Chris for just 1 second, Cam, I do want to say that with all of the interaction that Mercedes and Chris had tonight, especially with Mercedes holding up that women's world title, I just hope it's a sign to come for what happens at Full Gear, because I know what's happening, I believe, this weekend, because I think Full Gear is next weekend, but this weekend,
next Saturday.
Okay, so yeah, this weekend, however, Mercedes is fighting for her 13th title at House of Glory. So,
that's not a surprise.
It's not a surprise at all. So, but I'm just saying, like, in terms of everything, I just hope it's a sign to come for what happens at Full Gear, because I just don't want to see Mercedes possibly walking out with the 14th title, because honestly, I know she's walking out of House of Glory with that 13th. So, there you go. But we'll see.
I hope not either, but I don't know. We'll
Hopes
see.
and dreams. What's the saying?
Shit in one hand, wish in the other, and see which one fills up first.
Yep. I was
Okay.
I was trying to let you finish the
Switching
hopes
it
and
up
dreams
now.
one, but okay.
Oh, hopes and dreams. It turns into anger and screams. Yes. Okay.
Thanks. There you
Okay.
go.
I got you. You tossed it up and I missed it. Thanks.
It was a layup right there. Laid it off the glass. Couldn't do it.
You laid it up for me. Hopes and dreams can turn into angers and screams. There
We'll
we go.
see. Come Full Gear.
I think the only segment we got tonight, which is next, we had a parking lot fight between the Don Callis family. They attacked, I believe that was Kenny Omega that got hit with a chair or trash can lid or whatever it was.
I don't think so.
No, it was,
that
it was Jungle Boy and it was Jurassic
Jungle
Express
Lucha.
that they attacked.
Yeah.
But who was the other guy? Was it just like security or something?
It was probably a security guard, but they initially attacked Jurassic Express.
Okay, so Don Callis family attacks Jurassic Express. They take them out, and then we see Don Callis and the Young Bucks coming out of I guess it was Don Callis's like trailer or whatever. Josh Alexander says they sent a message last week. We sent one back. You don't mess with family. Of course, Don Callis still wants the Young Bucks to join the Don Callis family. Okada says decision time as he's looking at his watch. So, like I said, and then Matt Jackson said, we'll see you next week. So, like I said, you look at the expression on Matt Jackson's face, and he just, I don't know, he doesn't necessarily seem like he wants to take part in anything to do with Don Callis family or beating up Kenny Omega or beating up Jungle Jack or anything like that. So it really looks like they are pushing back slowly but surely against anything to do with the Don Callis family or Okada or anything like that. So again, I think this is more so what we have been discussing in this past couple of weeks with the reunion with the Young Bucks, and going and reuniting with Kenny Omega and reforming the Elite as baby faces this time. So I honestly think that's going to happen with this whole decision thing. They're going to have this whole decision segment they're going to have next week. I would say the Bucks are going to end up declining the Don Callis family and joining back with Kenny Omega to reform the Elite. But your guys' thoughts on this very brief backstage attack and the whole decision for the Young Bucks? Phil, I'm going to start with you.
Yeah, so like you said, Cam, I fully expect them to reject the offer of joining the Don Callis family next week. Kenny Omega is actually slated to return next week on Dynamite as well. So with everything that's happening there, because of the rejection from the Young Bucks to the Don Callis family, I could possibly see a world where we see, the 95 members of the Don Callis family beat down the Young Bucks because of the rejection. And then there you go, having Kenny Omega come out there, possibly with Jurassic Express to kind of somewhat even the odds, even though there's like 95-5 at that point. So, I mean, we'll see in due time. But yeah, I mean, we'll see who the Elite and Jurassic Express add as the 90 other members.
I wanna see them create a T-shirt of like an NWO style T-shirt, and instead of it saying NWO on it, obviously it says DCF Don Callis family.
Don Callis family, yeah.
Because the way this family is building right now, I mean, they're gonna have everybody from the AEW roster on that group by next year.
Basically is.
They're gonna have their own pay-per-view, the Don Callis family pay-per-view, basically, like NWO did back in the day.
And I keep making the number bigger because that is literally the whole point. It's literally the entire thing.
I'm with you guys, though. I see the Young Bucks declining. I've been saying this for a while now. I think AEW, what they need to do is go back to the old days when things were highly successful, when they were selling out arenas opposed to 4,000, 5,000 seat, amphitheaters and stuff like that. Because you go back to even during pandemic times or before the pandemic, when AEW first came around, the success that they had, selling out Philly, Washington, D.C., Baltimore, Maryland, like they were selling out city after city after city because they were rocking. And then things started changing. A lot of the groups like the Elite and, I'm trying to think of the that other group that was there, SCU. Breaking up, like all these groups that we originally got used to being there started breaking up in about 2021 and 2022. Then we start seeing formations of different groups. Even Chris Jericho has had three different factions in 6 years.
Yeah.
That's basically 2 years for each faction when you look at it. I think what they need to do is kind of put their foot on the brake while still keeping their foot on the gas. And what I mean by that is anything they're having success with, keep the foot on the gas. Things that aren't having success, put your foot on the brake, pull back, and think about what they can do to make it change to turn good. Bringing back the Elite and Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, and even the addition of Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus would be awesome, because you would have the old version of the Elite and somewhat of the new version of the Elite in like a mixture to go after the Don Callis family. And just imagine if AEW decided to go early with something like a Blood and Guts. Like, yeah, we're used to Blood and Guts happening in July this year. It's in November. Imagine if we kicked off 2026 in maybe February with Blood and Guts and the Elite culminating against the Don Callis family in a Blood and Guts match, or even something styled of it. It doesn't have to necessarily be Blood and Guts, just something in that style to where you have these two factions going at it. Like they have the biggest opportunity to build a great story moving forward, going into the new year with the possibilities of the Elite and the Don Callis family. It's all about whether they drop the ball with it or not. They're in a very good position with this story right now.
Yeah. There's definitely some sort of stipulation that Tony Khan is most likely thinking of right now, to this very day, to try to figure out what they can do with the Don Callis family and the amalgamation of whatever the Elite and Jurassic Express is going to be. Because it's going to be something big. This right now is honestly getting some really good stuff, right? Like out of the crowd, out of the fan base, and they want to see something like this happen. So we'll see how it goes.
I don't know. We'll definitely have to see. I personally, I wouldn't mind seeing the Doncaster family in Blood and Guts. I mean, like I said, you have more than enough members, so you can. I mean, you can select a variety of different people to put in that match. So I don't see why not.
Team
So,
AEW versus the Don Callis family. What the heck is going to be happening between 90 versus 90?
pretty much. So we'll definitely have to see what happens there. Next, we have our only other match other than the main event, and that was the Hangman Adam Page versus Powerhouse Hobbs street fight. Now, I didn't particularly care for this match. I mean, I'm gonna be completely honest with you. Now, I was telling Mike this during the course of this match. Maybe I'm a stickler. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I'm just boring. But after seeing the opening match be as wild and violent as what we got for the women's Blood and Guts, you kind of just need a breather after that. Like, I was literally exhausted after that. I'm just like, I just want like a regular singles match. I don't need another violent-esque stipulation match. Oh, they're gonna go all over the arena, or they're gonna put each other through the announcers table. I don't need to see that after what I just saw. Like, just give me a regular singles match. You know, that kind of breaks up all of this, you know, stipulation matches that are similar to that. You know, like if you're going to do that, like I said, if you're going to do Blood and Guts and moving forward, going to do a men's and women's, I would suggest either just doing the men's on one night, then the next week do the women's on another night. That's what I would do.
You can make it a 2-week event. Yeah.
Right. You can make it a 2-week event, or just make those matches the focus, and then everything else in between that is just regular matches, regular tag team matches, regular singles matches, or whatever. You don't need to oversaturate the card with, you know, hardcore, extreme rules, loud. We're getting a ladder match after the open. Like, we don't
Right,
need all
yeah.
that. It's just too much. When is too much? And I think this tonight was just too much with a street fight following the women's Blood and Guts. Like, it was just too much for me. So,
And it just was a random match too.
It was random. The world title's not on the line. I don't really know what Hangman gains from beating Will Hobbs. I don't even know what Will Hobbs gains from beating Hangman. I mean, yeah, it's cool he beat the world champion, but he's not the world champion after beating him. Here's even what I suggested, and maybe this sounds a bit too outlandish, but I would have suggested maybe if Powerhouse Hobbs does beat Hangman in this match, like cleanly, like no help from Shibata, no help from Joe,
right?
Then what you could do, you could carry this and then have potentially Hobbs then kind of, I don't know, step to Joe a little bit, like, hey, I've done something that you haven't done recently, and that's beat Hangman. So maybe I should be the one stepping up and challenging Hangman for the world title. Not necessarily break up the ops. They're still the trios champions. That would be stupid, but that would kind of be an interesting,
at least. Yeah,
right. That would be kind of an interesting dynamic or whatever to add to this story. You know, just an interesting wrinkle to add to the story. But
and it can add to somebody defeating them for the trios titles too. And then once you got that, Powerhouse and Joe feud, you got so much there.
So yeah, so I don't know, just some, I don't know, just semi-interesting ideas, I guess. But Heyman wins this match. There's no surprise there. Of course, the Ops then attack Heyman after the match. Eddie Kingston and of course Hook come out for the save. You see the cage start lowering over both rings or whatever. We get like this whole ominous backdrop or whatever. Naturally, Hangman wants a steel cage match. I don't know why, but he wants a steel cage match in 10 days. Just after this event for the men's and women's Blood and Guts matches. So we get another steel cage match for the world title at Full Gear. So I'm not for it necessarily. I'm tired of seeing steel cage matches. We've had a lot of them in 2025.
Recently,
I wouldn't be mad if the first 5 months of 2026 we don't see not one single steel cage match. I will not be upset because I've had about enough steel cage matches for 1 year. So I'm going to get you guys' thoughts on this match and, of course, the announcement for the steel cage match at Full Gear. Mike, I'm going to start with you.
I mean, get yourself ready because we have a steel cage match next week, and then the following week at Survivor Series, we're going to have two 2 War Games matches. So we got more steel cages coming, Cam. You know, so
Insane.
be prepared for it. As far as this match, I'll say this right now. I understand you know the sentiment of why give us a match to where it's no holds bars, anything goes, they can go all over the arena and stuff like that. Number one thing I will say in these guys' defense is they're not used to having a regular wrestling match with 2 rings side to side. You know, so it's obvious they're going to spill into the other ring, which would be considered, you know, if they go out there outside of the ring, you know. So why not just put them in a position to where they can have the freedom of the arena? Is it a little too much? Yeah, it is, especially after what we got with the women's blood and gut match. You know, it's a little too much. But these guys were able to kind of be in their comfort zone with saying, okay, there's no way we're staying in one ring. We're going to end up spilling over to the other one. We're not used to this setup. Why not just give us freedom of the arena? We can give the fans a little up close and personal like they would normally get on a Dynamite because of us going outside of the ring. But not only that, we can get up towards, you know, the crowd up and because they went up towards the other sections and everything like that. So it's a 50-50. It is. It's kind of dumb to do that, but at the same time, you know, give these guys a little bit of a comfort zone because of being able to go anywhere they want. I think they could have honestly, to get to Joe and Hangman for the steel cage match at Full Gear, they could have simply just given us a talking segment to introduce us to the match. We didn't have to have a Hangman Adam Page versus Will Hobbs match just to get us to that point to announce it's going to be a steel cage match at the for the main event at Full Gear. They could have simply did not a backstage. They could have done an in-ring segment to set this up. As simple as that. And yeah, we would have had 2 talking segments on the show in between the 2 matches that were being focused on this night. But that's the thing. This show was called Blood and Guts, not Blood and Guts plus more. And this match was the plus more. That's why you could have just had the talking segment to kind of calm the crowd down a little bit, because you're trying to keep them up after a match that they've elevated at. You don't want to overstimulate your crowd, and then they're upset with the outcome of the main event, or they're too tired for the main event. Like, a talking segment would have definitely been fine for this to happen, but you know, we had to have a match to get there. So I'm with you. I think it's dumb that they're doing a steel cage match 10 days, you know, prior to an event where they had 2 steel cage matches.
Yeah. Phil, your thoughts?
I think here's the thing with this. You know, time to breathe in this business in terms of card structure is absolutely something that AEW kind of needs to work itself on a little bit, especially when it comes down to special events like this, like something like Blood and Guts, where you only have 3 matches. You did something like this, and I get, you know, you want to have a match in between the 2 because I like that you bookended, started with one, you ended with one, but Falls Count Anywhere or Street Fighter or whatever you want to call it, you get people excited already enough as it is with the women's Blood and Guts match. You're trying to carry the momentum, and I get that, but there are ways to do that. So it is just kind of a little bit iffy there. In terms of the stipulation added to this match for Hangman and Samoa Joe, I think a stipulation definitely needed to be added, but I agree with both of your sentiments in terms of steel cage match so close to the other steel cage matches that we had just 10 days prior. Like, I get that. And I do. And honestly, it's a very valid point. I just think we definitely needed a stipulation because of everything that happened in the last match. So getting something like this is not really bad for me. It's just the timing of everything. If it wasn't for the timing of it being so close to each other, it is what it is. But, I mean, either way, whether it was going to have a cage or not, the match is going to be fine. And we'll see how it goes for the next time out.
You know what stipulation I would have went with? We haven't seen this match in a while. I would have went Iron Man.
Okay.
I would have went Iron Man.
I mean, the last Iron Man match we saw at AEW was Danielson and MJF. So
I would have went Iron Man. Yeah. I would have went Iron Man between Joe and Hangman. Would it have been would it have had to been a full 60 minutes? No, you could have done 30.
Yeah.
You could have done 30, and if overtime happens, go an extra 10, 15 minutes, you know, because it's tied, then so be it. It's the main event of a pay-per-view, and it's your last pay-per-view, or no, they have World's End in December. So it's their second to last pay-per-view in 2025. Why not go Iron Man? 30 minutes, and if they go into a 10, 15-minute overtime, it will come out to 40 to 50 minutes, their natural time for a main event sometimes, most of the time. Why not? It'd be more entertaining than a steel cage match because of the fact that us as fans already got 2 steel cage matches 10 days ago. You know, what makes you think we're going to want to sit through and watch another one from this company? Yeah, you're cutting it down halfway and giving us 1 ring opposed to 2, but it's the same fucking steel cage that you're using. You know, there's nothing special about this. Maybe, how about this? If you're going to make it a steel cage, put some fucking barbed wire up there so nobody can get in, nobody can get out. Why not? It worked for I believe it was JBL and the Big Show, or JBL and Batista years ago.
It was JBL and the Big Show.
Yeah. I remember that.
Yeah. Why not?
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I don't know. There's
I think
just
it's
so
just
many
the
other,
timing of it all. Yeah.
But there's just so many other matches I think they could, they could be utilizing, I mean, dog collar, freaking, I don't know, leather strap mat. Like, there's just other matches I think they could utilize that they're just not.
Yeah.
Just steel cage. That's
and
it.
AEW is so creative with their matches enough as it is. Steel cage after 2 steel cage matches 10 days prior. You could have done something a little bit better.
Yeah. So, but who knows? We'll see how that goes. When we get, we'll cross that bridge when we get there.
Could it get to a third?
A third match between these two?
No.
Not after this. I don't want it. I'm just saying.
No, I don't
could
either.
Possibly.
I didn't want the second one. The first one was all right, but
No, though
didn't leave me clamoring for more. I know that, but
it
is what it
I
is.
don't want it either. I'm just asking for the sake.
Next, we had a pretty lame segment with Ricky Steamboat. This was literally just a time killer because by this time it was, I don't even think it was 9:30.
This was their time to breathe, apparently, to AEW.
Yeah. This probably should have come before Hangman and Carl.
Maybe. Yeah. Because, I mean,
then I'd have been like, okay, cool.
And they were lowering down the cage, too, for the next Blood and Guts. Why'd you raise it back up for this? You could have transitioned easily with that.
Yeah,
actually,
got to make the stage handle, earn their money. I guess I don't know.
By pushing that up down button. Yep,
whatever. But I don't even really know what this segment was even about. I wasn't really listening. But of course, FTR comes out. They're kind of making it kind of sucks to be honest, but they're kind of making FTR's shtick be they just attack elderly legends of wrestling.
You can just say it sucks.
Yeah, it sucked.
I hate this.
It sucked. It definitely sucked.
I think
so. At one point, they were getting ready to spike pile drive Ricky Steamboat. Of course, Burrito comes out and attacks FTR. They come for the save, I should say. And then that pretty much ended the segment. Now, I think at Full Gear, I do believe that match is official for FTR versus Burrito for the World Tag Team titles. I'm fully expecting Burrito to drop the Tag Team titles to FTR. I think this is where their road ends for the Tag Team titles. If they retain, I'll be shocked. Honestly, I will be.
Yeah.
So I think this is the end of the road for them. And then I'm expecting Copeland and Christian. I said that right.
Yeah.
Copeland and Christian to come back from their whole. Because see, I always get mixed up in my head because I want to call Copeland Edge.
Just call him Edge.
So
yeah, you can just say Edge here. We know who you mean.
Like saying Edge and Christian or whatever. So anyway, but yeah, so I'm fully expecting Copeland and Christian to come back from their whole time away, sabbatical, whatever you want to call it, and then that'd be the next opponent for them for probably World's End, maybe if they push that this far for the World Tag Team titles. I don't know, so we'll have to see there. If you guys have any thoughts on this segment that really sucked, please. Phil, I'll start with you.
Mike, I'll start with you. You want to say something? I know.
Go ahead.
Okay. I just did not like this at all. All power to Ricky Steamboat. Honestly, I love the guy, absolute legend. But with everything that was happening here, I should have just expected FTR to come out here because that's exactly what AEW is making FTR to be. Just going out there and just disrespecting legends left and right just to, continuously get them more heat. I got myself on this segment, and I'm not gonna lie. I understand that they have been in a feud with not a feud with Brodito for a little bit now. But considering that Cope has been away for a little while, and him being like kind of tied with FTR, I thought Cope could have came out there to save, Ricky from the power driver spot, but they did with the Brodito kind of thing, and I set myself up for that, and I definitely did. But we'll get Cope back in due time anyway, because obviously Cope and Christian versus FTR is most likely the way that they are going to go. So,
Yes.
with FTR most likely winning the tag team titles at Full Gear, you kind of just see that writing on the wall. But overall, I just don't like. Here's the thing. I think what FTR is doing in terms of them just continuously garnering heat for themselves, it's obviously working because people just hate them. So I mean, it's working in some ways, but in others, like for people like me who just do not care about FTR whatsoever right now, and maybe that's what they want, but it is what it is. It's just,
I mean, that'd be
kind
an
of just
odd
numb
thing
to
to
me.
want, but
Yeah, it's kind of just numb to me at this point with what FTR is doing right now, honestly.
yeah, I don't know. I like FTR. I really do. They're one of my favorite tag teams.
For sure.
I just feel like what their heel run, their heel turn, since the beginning, I guess. Like I think it started off hot. I think Mike mentioned this a
I
long
think
time
the
ago.
turn worked.
The turn worked. The turn started off hot, and then they just didn't know where to go with it from there. Because the tag team titles were in a weird spot. So I feel like they were, you could tell they were noticeably keeping them away from the tag team title scene.
Right.
And it was weird because they weren't doing much away from the tag team title
And
scene.
knowing them, they'd always be in the mix.
Right. So it just was weird. And then for me, Stokely with them doesn't work for me. He just I don't know. It's a weird mix. I like them better. I like them better when they were heels and they had Blanchard with them. That to me that worked a lot better.
Totally worked real good with them.
Yeah,
I
totally Blanchard worked a lot better. Like he fit their overall just vibe. You know what I mean? Like that whole old school tag team wrestling smash mouth style. He just fit a lot better. With Stokely, it's like they're more heel, but they're it's like with a hint of like a comical sense. You know, and that doesn't really mix with me for FTR. That's not the feeling I get.
They're trying to garner the easy heat, and
and it's just like I don't know. So I'm not really feeling stoked with them. So.
Well, I think what it is, we're so used to FTR working so hard on what they do, and as of late, there's almost that sense of, like Phil said, trying to garner the easy heat. It's kind of being lazy to where we're used to seeing them work so hard. Not saying that they're not working hard, but no, this did start off hot when they turned on Copeland. They played up the whole like putting the neck brace on themselves, mocking Copeland, everything. It all started out right. Their biggest problem is Stokely. I think Stokely is the X factor that is just not helping work. Yeah, it's not clicking. It's not helping work, anything like that. If they drop Stokely, I guarantee FTR would be on your favorite radar next week if they dropped him. And it'd be as simple as that, because Stokely is kind of that holdback. It's like, oh, he's a mouthpiece for guys that don't need a mouthpiece. These guys can go out there and take care of themselves, and we've seen it time and time again. Whether they're baby faces or heels, they can take care of themselves. They don't need a guy to come in and take care of for them. And then some of the stuff that Stokely says is borderline. Like if you go on social media and say that stuff coming out of your mouth, you're canceled in a minute, But some of the stuff he's saying on TV he's getting away with, which boggles my fucking mind. First off, especially on cable television, boggles my mind that he gets away with it. And he even said something tonight, and I don't want to repeat it because, I don't want to cross that border. But, yeah, the Stokely thing doesn't work. Do I see FTR walking out of Full Gear with the tag titles? And, we'll do our predictions next week for Full Gear and everything. But, yeah, I see FTR walking out with the tag belts, and it will set something up for Cope and Christian. And if not, jump right to the Young Bucks because we haven't even seen that yet. They totally overcrossed that. It was about a year and a half, 2 years ago, where FTR was the tag team champions, and we're thinking, or the Young Bucks were the tag team champions. One of them were, and we're thinking, oh, we're going to get right to FTR and the Young Bucks, and we just never got it.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah,
They
time
just
frame and
completely,
everything.
they just completely overlooked it, and it's like, what are you doing? Stop overlooking things because it's working. The FTR thing, again, it would work so much better if Stokely wasn't with them. The problem is they feel like it's working right now, so they're going to continue rolling with it. So, yeah.
I don't know. We'll definitely have to see where things go. But like I said, I think we're all in agreement with FTR going into Full Gear and walking out with the World Tag Team titles. So we will have to see when we get to Full Gear. As Mike said, like I said, we will make our predictions for Full Gear next week here on The Boom. But gentlemen, we have reached the main event. The main event saw Team Conglomeration taking on Team Death Riders. The first two that we started off with Darby and Yuta. Of course, Darby had his thumbtack skateboard. I think a lot of what they did early on, was really stuff they've already done before. I always, whenever they have these kinds of matches, I always look at like, okay, what's new? Like, how are they going to? And that sounds insane, but like, how are they going to up the ante from the last stunt they just did? And I think it's getting harder and harder because they're just like, what haven't we done already? Like I thought the fish tank thing was the wildest thing I've ever seen in AEW, and I was like, I really don't think they can up the ante from that. I just don't. So yeah, some of this stuff I feel like they pulled out. It's like, okay, we've seen this already. They're kind of just playing the hits. After this, of course, Cassidy, Danny Garcia, Mark Briscoe. Mark Briscoe was supposed to be the one to come out next. His music played, and then we cut to the backstage area where he was attacked. And then, of course, Roger Strong was the one to take his entry. Then Claudio, then O'Reilly, Moxley, and then Pac was the last to come out. And it was set to be, quote unquote, a 4-on-5. Me and Mike had said it both, like Briscoe's probably going to be in this, come out all taped up, limping or whatever, and be the hero, save the day. And even this up and make it 5-on-5. That, of course, did happen. Mark Briscoe came out carrying a whole bunch of hardware, just to come out with a freaking toolbox and a trash can or whatever he came out with. So, of course, he comes out anyway. So we kind of saw that coming as well. Darby, now this is the shocking. This is just based off what I just said. This is the craziest part of this whole match. Darby Allin gets put through 2 flaming tables off of getting thrown by Pac off of the structure of the Dynamite set.
The tunnel for the entrance.
Wild. That was insane to me. I feel like that was Darby's idea too, because Darby
absolutely.
He's insane. He's absolutely insane. The thing I hated about this particular match was Gabe Kidd's involvement. Like, again, haven't we done this already? Like, I feel like the record is skipping on just the things we've already done. He's not involved. He's slightly involved, I guess. I guess based off of association or whatever with John Moxley, but he's not. But he's not, from my understanding anyway. He's not an official member of the Death Riders. So why does he keep showing up randomly? Like, it's the shock value, or I don't know, the surprise factor or whatever is gone already, because you've already done this before with Gabe Kidd. Him popping out of the crowd or whatever. Now he pops out of the crowd with like a freaking stun gun. Then he's the one to set up the tables and set the tables afire. Like, there needs to be, I said this during the course of this match, there needs to be a match. Like, he needs to have like a one-on-one with, I don't know, somebody in the conglomeration, Orange Cassidy, Darby Allin, whatever, to where if he loses, he's just banned from AEW. You don't even go here full time. You're not signed by AEW. So why do you keep showing up? What is the point? There needs to be some kind of story better than just, oh, he just knows John Moxley. Oh, he's just like
he's just here by association.
Yeah, he's just here by association with the Death Riders. That's weak. Like, there needs to be some kind of stronger connection or some stronger story as to why he just keeps popping up and helping the Death Riders.
Or if he's going to be a part of the group, just say that.
Yeah, if he's
just
going to be
make
the
it
part of the
happen.
group, just say that. Just make it official already. Like that I would be fine with, but he's not. He just keeps
And if that
popping
is
up
going to be
randomly.
the case, then sign him if he's free to be
Right,
here.
that too. If he's going to be a part of this group, then just sign him, and then that way you tie up all those loose ends, and we don't have to sit here, or I don't have to sit here scratching my head wondering why he keeps popping up.
The
So
holes are very, very noticeable with that.
yeah, so that was my biggest gripe I think in this match. Is just like, you don't need Gabe Kidd. He's has no involvement in this match. Has no involvement with this feud, I guess, if you want to call it that. And he's associated with the Death Riders, but I don't think he's an official member. So I don't know. But of course, the at one point the baby faces ended up having this whole big comeback or whatever. O'Reilly ended up being the one to submit Moxley, which was interesting in the ankle lock. Now, here's another thing with this too, because we talk about this in length weeks and weeks before this as well. This is probably, I don't know, probably at least the third time I've seen, I think, where you have the Death Riders in this, faction on faction versus faction match, and they lose. Now you have Moxley. Moxley, I think, also submitted or tapped out when he lost the world championship to Hangman Adam Page, or the whole like bull rope around his neck or whatever.
Correct. Yep.
My thing is, now again, how I would have done it is, after he lost the championship, in especially in the way that he lost the championship to Hangman, that was when you should have had the things starting to kind of fall apart for the Death Riders. Like, Death Riders start looking at Moxley a little different, because he's the leader. I mean, he's the mastermind behind this whole group. So you have the rest of the group, you have the rest of the members start to look at him a little differently. Like we can't believe that you actually tapped out to Hangman and Page. We thought you would never give up. We thought your pain threshold was like on planet Mars. Like, we thought you would never be the one to submit. Now you have the same situation again tonight. And it's like, I don't see how you continue with this Death Riders faction and have no progression into what is happening with the group after such a major loss like this, especially when their leader is the one that tapped out.
Continuously does it too. No, like
he's
been done it. He's been it. Yeah.
That's one of the, and that's crazy to think about, but that's one of the most consistent things with this group right now. Yeah. They lose big matches. They lose big faction matches.
And it's
they lost the world championship. So it's like, I don't know. I just can't continue to take this group seriously when there's just no progression, because next week this is just all going to be forgotten about, and the Death Riders are just going to continue to be the Death Riders. There's no progression with their story. So it's just like, is this group just going to last forever? And it's just they're never going to move forward and create something else. Like, I want to see something else with this group. Even if they don't break up, I want to see the Death Riders 2.0. What do they look like without Mox? What if they turned on Mox?
Right.
What if we get a babyface Mox versus his creation of Death Riders? Like that's something interesting, because it's beyond dry, because there's just no progression. So I'm gonna get you guys' thoughts on this match and what you guys think about what I just said. Phil, I'm gonna start with you.
So I 100% agree with you that there needs to be something different with this. With everything that's happening with the Mox story arc right now, with the consistent losses of not only with the world title, the not so much quitting, but taking the easy way out in the first match that he had with Kyle O'Reilly, taking out the referee, causing that DQ, doing the whole I quit match with Darby Allin, and now tapping out here tonight. The thing is, there's obviously a story arc that's going on right now with Jon Moxley, and him consistently being the guy that's causing the Death Riders these matches and the losses that they have suffered over the course of the last couple of months. Now, I like the trajectory of where they're going with this, because I know hopes and dreams are definitely, just terrible in this company, but you got to capitalize on this when you can. And, with the rest of the Death Riders being the people that have honestly been the ones that have not really done much in terms of the quitting, you gotta look at John Moxley now and say, bro, what the hell are you doing? You're costing us these matches. And we had the world title. We were literally on top of the world, and now we're looking like jokes because you continuously make us lose on the biggest stages that we're possibly in right now. So you got to make something happen with this. And if it's not like it's literally staring right in the face of what to do, it's just up to Tony Khan to do it. And obviously we don't know if Tony Khan can actually have the capacity in order to make it happen. So it's literally staring you right in the face. The match was fine overall from what it was, but I 100% agree with the sentiment that we had earlier on in the show. The women, with the way of just the structure of the match and how everything was going, that easily could have been the main event of the show, and it realistically should have been. But, you know, everything here, Darby's a freaking madman. Of course, that was his spot to do. That was, you know, his that was his idea, most likely, because he's a madman. His brain needs to be studied when he is just gone from this earth, because there's just something seriously wrong with that man in every single way possible, but I love him dearly. So it is what it is there. Mark Briscoe coming back to try to be the hero of it all made sense. I honestly thought they could have possibly done something. There was a whole thing going around saying that there was going to be a big return tonight of some sort. That never happened. So I don't know where the heck that came from. So I thought maybe possibly a mystery fifth person, but obviously Mark Briscoe comes out, does his thing. Looks good. But overall, really good stuff there. Men's Blood and Guts was honestly really good this year, but the women definitely outshined the men in my eyes. We'll see where it goes for Mox from there. But yes, Mox definitely needs to have some sort of arc moving forward after all the losses.
Mike, your thoughts?
The big return was Ricky the Dragon Steamboat.
I mean,
come on now. It was his first time on TBS in over 25 years. Come on
but
now.
I heard something about a legend coming out earlier. So I mean, that wasn't.
He was the big return. He's a big return to TBS. He's been on TBS in almost 30 years. Yeah, that's a big return. That was the big hoorah right there.
Respect to Rick.
I don't think there was going to be any way of them bringing somebody back to get you excited in the middle of all the madness of Blood and Guts. I think it would have been a bad move to bring somebody big back. And if the plan was to have that said person come in and fill the spot of Mark Briscoe, then that would have been an even bigger bad move. Because I said to Cam, I said, watch Mark Briscoe get the final pop of the night. He's backstage. He was set to be the last guy to come out, but in their eyes, he was set to be the third guy to come out in the rotation. You got to have your biggest babyface of the company at this moment, and Mark Briscoe come out last to try and get that final pop.
It definitely worked.
Sadly enough, Orange Cassidy got the bigger pop.
Yeah.
So it really didn't work, because you also didn't hit his fucking music the second time he was ready to come out. Why would you not hit his music when he's coming out to be the savior of his team, when his team is getting the shit kicked out of him? A lot of flaws there. As far as the Death Rider stuff, yeah. I mean, the losses in big time matches, there's a trend there. They can go out and be successful as solo guys or regular tag teams, but when it comes to doing these team effort things, there's no success whatsoever. And they can do one of two things with this. They can, number one, have the group attack Moxley to take him out as the leader and bring in a new leader, or they could just dispense gradually on their own without an attack or anything of that happening. They could do this one of two ways. The options are there. You know, and I know a lot of people would probably want to see Mox get attacked, but with the way this group is and the way they support each other through segments, through backstage segments, in-ring segments, in matches and stuff like that, I think the attack on Mox right now wouldn't make sense. If they were in the middle of a match and it was in the point that Moxley was costing them matches, and you did, let's say they had 3 matches as a group, and they were simultaneously in order of between, like, in the span of 6 weeks. Okay, they do a group match once every 2 weeks, and they failed every time because of Moxley. Then it's like, okay, you're going to attack him on that 6th week in the final match after they lose. But if it's going to be something to where they don't, like, let's say next week we get a segment with them and they say, look, as a group, we're supposed to be a group. We should be having success in these types of matches, but we're not. We're having success on our own, winning championships, successes, tag teams, Yuta and Claudio as a tag team, or Pac and Claudio as a tag team. But when we are a full force, our force isn't strong. So maybe we take some time apart and do our own thing, and maybe, just maybe, we can revisit this. And then they all just dispense on their own. Moxley can very quickly become a babyface again if they just dispense. He doesn't need to be attacked. He doesn't. But for all intents and purposes of the excitement of the group breaking up, you attack Moxley. Because he's the key guy, the prong in the group that just does not lead these guys, and they're going to think new leader. So, as far as this Blood and Guts match, we've seen everything they've done in this match before in past Blood and Guts matches. Like I said, like I said last week, they can only go so far because they've pretty much pulled out everything in the past. Jericho getting thrown off the top of the first Blood and Guts. And in past and Blood and Guts matches after that, we've seen somebody get thrown off the top. So we knew it was coming. Darby Allin with the flamethrower last year. Like, we've seen everything. So there was nothing new in this match that really could have been done that they haven't already pulled out. Was there stuff that maybe would have been way out of left field? Yeah, but they would have had to be careful because of being on TV. If they were on pay-per-view, it maybe would have been different. They could have probably pulled it off. But being on regular televised TV, you can't. There's some things that you just can't do, and that maybe would have helped the match, but you never know. If it failed, could have hurt the match as well. So just stick in the realm of knowing what you know and doing what you're doing, and one of two things is going to happen. It's going to be a success or it's going to be a failure. So, but not a bad match, not a bad move either of the way it ended, I guess. So.
But gentlemen, that is all I got for you for a 11/12/2025. Now it is time to plug yourself. Phil, where can we find you?
TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, PhillyMan_. You guys can also follow me on Twitch at the same handle. And there's just a ton going on right now. Wrestling wise, Survivor Series around the corner. We have Blood and Guts tonight. There's so much to discuss, the good, the bad. We all go through it in terms of especially the world of pro wrestling. But follow me on those socials. You'll be able to catch me up on there, and whatever I got going on, you guys will be the first ones to know. And I hope you guys enjoyed tonight, man, because it was definitely a hell of a night for sure.
Make sure you guys are keeping up with everything Phil is going to do, or is doing, I should say, on all of his socials. So definitely keep up with him and follow him wherever he is posting his content. Mike, where can we find you?
Before I shout out where you guys can find me, I'm going to say one thing. There's one good thing that came out of this show tonight, and it was not exhausting.
Absolutely.
We have had
yes.
months and months of AEW television just be fucking exhausting, and tonight was far from exhausting. This was it's going to snow outside. This was a good night from AEW. Very, very good night. Metal Mike 714 is where you find me on Instagram, X, TikTok, and Snapchat. I don't do a lot of content creating personally, but I do most of my content, if not all my content creating on the shows here. Table Spot Monday night with Cam right after Monday Night Raw here on the network. Wednesday night here on the Boom with these two gentlemen. And then on Sunday morning, new start time, 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time over on the Huddle Hub Podcast, twitch.tv/the Huddle Podcast, youtube.com/@the-Huddle-Pod. Me and Cam are going to get you guys ready for week 11 of the NFL and recap week 12 of college football. And then Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, me and John recap the NFL week and get you guys ready for college football. You can also follow us over on TikTok and on X at the Huddle Hub Pod for announcements on X and TikTok. Yeah, TikTok. I do some pre-show lives before we go live on Sunday morning and Tuesday evening. So you can join me on the pre-show lives as well over on the TikTok. So please go hit that follow button right after we get off air here. Help us build the Huddle podcast. Thank you.
Make sure you get your track shoes on and try to keep up with that man. Metalcore Mike, he does a lot here, not only on the Boom, but just on the networks that he is on. Great content coming from him. So it's exhausting to kind of try to keep up with him. So great stuff coming from him. As far as moi, you can find me right here every single Wednesday night with these two gentlemen talking about some AEW Dynamite. We're going to be doing our Full Gear predictions next week. Curious to see how that card pans out as well. In terms of my socials, follow me on Cam's Wrestling Corner. There's a lot of news I got to sort through when it comes to wrestling. There's a lot going on, a lot of bizarre news stories going on. So I'm talking some professional wrestling on there. So keep up with me on TikTok right there. And then, of course, I am back here Monday night with me and Metalcore Mike talking about some Monday Night Raw with the table spot, of course, as he said, on Sunday mornings. New start time, 10:30 on the Huddle Hub pod, talking about some college football and, of course, the NFL. But that is all I got for you guys this week. We'll be back next Wednesday, of course, as I said before. Love and appreciate all you guys come by and check out the stream tonight. And as I always say at the end of every stream, love, peace, prosperity, and we are out.
Yeah.